Hi guys, it's Emma, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then nice to meet you. I'm a singer, songwriter, musician-y type, and this is where the music happens. And today's video specifically is going to be the first in a new little mini-series that I'm going to be doing this year. The main thing I love doing is songwriting. The main thing I want to do in the music industry is writing songs in all sorts of different ways for all sorts of different formats. And so I want to keep improving my songwriting skills as well as my production skills. So I've been doing a lot of things to try and improve my overall songwriting and musician abilities, including actually bothering to do exercise on the guitar so I can play it properly and not just play chords all the time. And the biggest one is that I've been going back to basics and starting from square one, learning music theory all the way up, because I know quite a bit of music theory, but a lot of my knowledge is sort of dotted about all over the place. Like, there are some really weird, complex things that I know about, and then there are some really basic things. Like, until recently, I didn't know what the two numbers in a time signature meant. So stuff like that, because as much as I don't think that you need music theory in order to write songs, you can write perfectly good songs with absolutely no knowledge about how music actually works and how to analyze it. Music theory is essentially a tool for analyzing music rather than creating music, but any tool you use to analyze something can come in handy when you're making it as well. If you want to push your songwriting further, if you want to do new things, if you want to explore everything that you can do with music, then yeah, you need to know theory. It's just the easiest way to do it, because if you know theory, then you know how a song is achieving a certain effect, and then you can replicate that. Anyway, we're not here to ramble about theory. We're here to take on some songwriting challenges, mostly based in theory because of that. So I'm going to be making lots of little videos like today's, where I basically take on a challenge to try and write a song, doing something different from how I normally would do it. Today's idea came from one of the most recent theory lessons I was watching on Skillshare. I was watching a few different lessons on modulating between keys and on the sus chords, the suspended chords. Just to quickly blast through for anybody who isn't familiar with music theory at all and needs a little explanation of what that is. Usually when we talk about chords, we talk about the basic major and minor chords. And those are made up of three notes, so we call them triads. The three notes being the first, third, and fifth note in the scale for that key. So if you're playing a C major chord, you're playing a chord with the first, third, and fifth notes in the scale of the C major key. So basically, if you're playing a C major scale, you're playing C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if you want to play the C major chord, because of that, you play the first note C, third note E, fifth note G. The C minor key is C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, that's not A flat, A flat, B flat, C. It's confusing playing it on not a proper keyboard. So the C minor chord would be C, E flat, G. When you're playing a suspended chord, what that means is that in place of the usual third note of the key, so in this case in place of that E or that E flat, you play either the second note in the key, the second note in the scale, or the fourth. So a suspended second, you play the second, a suspended fourth, you play the fourth. So you get that or that instead. And in the theory lesson that I was watching on Skillshare, one of the things that was mentioned about what makes suspended chords interesting and good to use in your songwriting is that because you're playing the second note or the fourth note instead of the third note, if we use the two different C chords again, you can see the only difference between a C minor and a C major is that third note. But in the key of C major and in the key of C minor, the second note and the fourth note are the same in both of those keys. So when you're playing a suspended second chord or a suspended fourth chord, you can't actually tell if we're in the major or the minor key. So if you were to keep playing suspended chords instead of minor or major chords, you wouldn't really be able to tell what key you're in yet, and specifically, you wouldn't be able to tell if the key is major or minor. Why does that matter? Well, because I'm sure this is something everybody knows about music theory because they drum it into you like nothing else on earth in school, so you've probably heard this before. A major key is a happy key, and a minor key is a sad key. Generally, if you're going to write a happy song, you're probably going to write it in a major key. And if you're going to write a sad song, you're probably going to write it in a minor key. And when you actually listen to a major chord, and then you listen to a minor chord, the minor chord does sound sadder or more ominous, whereas the major chord sounds happy. The suspended chord doesn't really sound either. Sounds like it could be happy, it could be sad, we don't know. So I had the idea to try and use these suspended chords to actually shift between the major and the minor key in the middle of the song, to be going back and forth between happy and sad as a feeling. I don't know if this is going to work or if it's going to be crazy, but I thought it could be interesting to try and use a mixture of the minor key, the major key, and then just playing nothing but suspended chords so you can't tell if we're in the major or the minor, and see if it just comes out a complete mess or if it actually really works. I feel like it might work. Like, in theory, it should work. In theory, if I want to write a song about a subject where you're not necessarily sure if you're happy or sad about it, like, say, unrequited love. Unrequited love is one of those funny feelings where it's happy and it's cute and it's sweet and it's pretty, but what if they don't love you back? Oh, and then they don't love you back and it's so sad. So that's the subject matter I've decided to pick for this. I feel like a few other subject matters could work, but I'm going to try and use these different types of chords and this shifting in and out of major keys to try and create a song that gives that effect. Anyway, so I've decided to keep things a little bit simpler, to stick with C. And at first I wasn't sure if in order to do this, I would want to do C major with, you can't actually see this, but I've written out C major, A minor, and C minor, because I wasn't sure if this would work better going between C major and A minor. If you're going to switch keys in a song, because sometimes songs do switch keys randomly in the middle. Well, not randomly, they do it for a reason usually, and if they're going to switch keys, they're going to do it using the circle of fifths. I won't bother going into detail about the circle of fifths now, but basically the circle of fifths is just a pattern of keys that go well together, so that if you want to use chords that aren't in the key that you're writing your song in, it's the keys nearest to that key that you'd be best off using chords from, because they're likely to fit nicely. And one of the keys that you would go to is what we call the relative minor. Every major key has a minor key that has the same sharps and flats in it. So for C major, the relative minor is A minor, because C major has no sharps and flats in it, and A minor also has no sharps and flats in it. Just if you're playing the scale, you start on A instead of C. If I'm playing a key with all the same sharps and flats in it, there isn't really going to be that same shift as there is if I'm using a sus chord to not give away what key I'm in, and then I play a flat that isn't in that key. That's going to have more impact. Anyway, point being, I figured that my best bet was probably going to be to literally switch to the minor equivalent of the key. So I'm in C major, let's switch to C minor. I've decided to go with C major and C minor just because I thought it was going to be easiest to use C major, because C major is no sharps, no flats. So I've just decided to go with C major and C minor. So in order to do this, I'm definitely going to need to start by coming up with the chord progressions that are going to work best for this, and then structuring the song using those chord progressions, and then writing something over the top, which is going to be quite tricky because that's not how I normally write. I am the kind of person who usually writes lyrics and melody first, and I work out the chords as I'm going. I don't try and structure a song around a certain chord progression. So this is going to be fun, interesting, different. So we're going to start with the sus chords progression, because I've worked out that I can probably only use 3 sus chords to make this work. So we're going to have maybe something like this. We can also use the G. And then I need some chord progressions to work with in each key. So in the key of C major, we could just go with the basic one that we always get. This is really hard to do on a not proper keyboard. I'm not good at putting chords in without the proper keyboard. Right, let's just put the basic one in. Da-da-da. And now we need one for C minor. Actually, let's think about what chords we're going to use. So we're going to want to start on that C minor. We could just do, shall I literally just do all the same pattern? So going C, G, A, but in this case it'd be A flat, F. Let's do that. Let's add to the neatness of it all. I'll go with the second half on this one, and I'm just going to do sort everything out so it's all quantized. The difficult bit is that in order for this song to work, I think my refrain is going to have to be over my sus chord bit. This is sounding ridiculous so far. I don't know if this is gonna work at all. Okay, I think I've got a chord progression that's going to work. So I think the next thing is to start coming up with some melodies and some possible lyrics to go over the top. And then we'll see where we go from there. Say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, nothing changes. And I think I could be happy like that. Okay, my camera is dying. I've got some stuff to work with. I'm gonna go away and have a play with this and come back tomorrow and see what we've got. Okay, I have returned and I've put the same outfit on for continuity. I went away, I continued working on it, I've made some changes to the piano, I've added a bit of a synth in places, but the main thing I did was that I have written an entire 2 verses that I think really work and that we're going to go with. So I'm going to record those in and take a bit of footage so that I can put a version of what I've got at the end of the video, and then I'm going to go away and try and like produce it a bit better to make it sound good-ish. But I think it's sounding pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to lay this vocal down quickly. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, nothing changes. And I think I could be happy like that, simply standing at the sides, watching the years as they pass, and being your guide through all of the highs and the lows, holding your hand, holding you close, then stepping aside for whoever you chose. 'Cause it's enough just to see your face, just to share this space with you for a little while, just to hear you say my name, even if it's never in the way I dream about. Doesn't matter to me if I get to see you happy. That's enough, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough for me. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, nothing changes. Wonder if I could be happy like that, simply standing at the sides, watching the years as they pass, and having to hide the truth about how I feel, but look into mine and you just know it's real. Can I really lie? Say I'd step aside and watch someone else walk into your life. Is it enough just to see your face, just to share this space with you for a little while, even if every time you say my name, it's never in the way that I dream about? Does it really not matter to me if I get to see you happy? Is that enough? Is that enough? Is that enough for me? If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. If I say it softly, then you'll never hear me. So maybe it's time that I spoke up. I think that this actually works quite well as an effect, and so I'm probably going to have another go at writing a song like this in the future, where I combine major and minor keys and use the suspended chords to create a sense of ambiguity between the two modes of the song, the happy and the sad side. I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments though. Do you think this little challenge was a success? Do you like the song that's come out of it? Do you like the first half or the second half better? Who likes the major half better, and who likes the minor half better? I think the minor half has a nicer melody to it. But anyway, not point. Point is, do we think it was a success? And if so, shall I have a bit more of a play with it over time and see if I can produce it a bit better and maybe put up another version of it at some point in the future? Should I flesh it out more? If you enjoyed this video, then please do hit that subscribe button, because like I said, this is a little series that I'm going to be doing where I'm going to be taking on challenges like this. And like I said at the start of the video, if you have any ideas for songwriting challenges to improve my songwriting, weird things I could try that people don't usually do in songs that you'd like to see me have a go at tackling, then leave any suggestions in the comments below. If you want to follow and support me and my music, then obviously all of my socials are linked in the description below as always, and all of the places that you can go and stream my music that I've actually released. You can go and check that out too. And if you want to support me in other ways, i.e. money, then I also have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and you can send me one-off donations on there, or you can subscribe to my membership, where you'll get behind the scenes content, little outtakes from these videos, things like that, and other bits of exclusive content. I think that's everything, so I'm going to sign off for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I could be happy like that, simply standing at the sides, watching the